This is Tom Clancy's The Division. We're on Xbox Series X, diving into the first entry of this, well, two-part series at the current point in time. So with that, we're getting an automatically applied FPS boost. You don't have to do anything, you just get to enjoy the higher frame rate. And with that, resolution-wise, we are getting a native 4K resolution at a high point. This does have dynamic resolution scaling, so that's actually a little bit of a benefit in regards to being able to allow us to hit that 60 and to not have to really degrade the visual quality of it like you do in other experiences. And I think that is truly exciting. We also have the benefit of Hdr Support, which is nice, and yeah, it just looks really quite beautiful. It's a very stunning game, just like its kind of successor in regards to The Division 2. And I quite like this one in terms of the visual setting. Like the Christmas type frozen scene is really cool. The aesthetics of the environment are really exciting, and it's a really neat spot as you battle in this sort of New York-esque part of the town. We kind of show that off here on the map, and it's got like a lot of different missions you can play, a lot of side objectives. It's an RPG with a focus on co-op play, so it is best to experience this with others if you can. It's a lot more fun to enjoy the experience playing with another person or even a group of people in order to deal with the varying enemies that are present. Just be sure to watch out for the enemy scaling and everything like that, because that can be quite a problem. But yeah, the game really does look absolutely fantastic, and I'm just so happy they were able to do this. I remember doing a video on this game not too long ago and specifically being like, I really wish we could have a higher frame rate, and hopefully someday we get to see that, and obviously today is that day. It feels really quite amazing. It looks fantastic. It's quite a lot of fun, and it doesn't seem to really have any sort of introduced issues or anything. It just runs fluidly, which is highly appreciated. I mean, it looks quite gorgeous. The visuals, the buildings, and everything like that, they hold up quite well. And it's just really awesome to have the full scope of this experience feeling really nice. Because for a shooter, an open world shooter, it's kind of almost a little bit important that we get, a good frame rate with it. It just makes the action feel that much more intense and that much more, well, action-packed, right? And it's almost, just disappointing that so many games, that were open world had 30, and now we can finally enjoy this one almost in a proper sense. Just, it's amazing that, you get the sense of detail and depth within the environment, like all the garbage, all the vehicles, the detailed buildings, and we're not, really losing anything in the process of getting this FPS boost. It's just a complete benefit, and I love that, getting that resolution, getting that frame rate, and having it look as good as it does. And it's the full experience at this point, right? All the DLC is released, everything's done for it. You can come in here, you can enjoy it all, and you can work through it and have a good time. So the game itself, you can kind of play it by yourself, but the main focus of it, like I said earlier, is actually on cooperative play. There is also competitive action too, if you head into the dark zone, in order to compete with other players and kind of fight for special loot and stuff like that. But pretty expansive environment with a lot of different things you can do. Side missions, collectibles, hidden secrets, things that build out the lore of the game, because there is a whole, virus type connection in this one in regards to what happened. And yeah, it's actually quite a unique experience. You can also matchmake with others if you want to, quickly be able to find a game, which I think is nice. And it just provides a lot of unique experiences for you to have as you go about exploring this apocalyptic, disease-ridden type of environment, which is almost a little too scary reflection upon reflection when it comes to the, well, society these days, if you are kind of aware of that at the time of filming. But yeah, it really is quite a well-done title. It does have some spongy enemies to it, but that's, gonna be what a shooter RPG game it kind of has with it, is it's just gonna have that sponge, right? But it definitely is worthwhile. You get to see some really interesting, iconic, locations from this area. If you're, at all kind of interested in this city to any degree, you'll find that really quite cool. And they sort of take you through what's left of this environment, and you're, kind of making the best of it. There are these, random kinds of situations here as well. So we've got to defend I guess that position over there. And it feels like a real place. You know, I understand it's modeled after like a real location, but you know, the setup and everything like that, it actually does feel like a realistic representation of this area, and I think that's really quite cool, because not too many games will be able to provide this much depth within the environment, or this much scale to it, right? There's just something quite special about the Division in that regard. It does that quite well, and I think it offers many unique challenges and kinds of places to visit and enemies to deal with. So I guess we're gonna... Are we dealing with more? I see red dots coming in. I'm gonna plop you down, turrets. So I'm assuming we've got more baddies on the way. I think I should have maybe done that over here. No, climb up. There we go. Let's take this turret out. Oh yeah, we've got to defend this spot. Yeah, you get some levels of verticality. For the most part it is, you know, kind of flat-landed, but occasionally you go inside of buildings and stuff. You know, it does offer some variation. And there's different enemies too. You're seeing a lot of just like the regular, I guess you could say, sort of street thugs and stuff that are here. But when you actually are working through the different areas of the environment, you'll come across a number of very distinct enemy factions that all have their own unique, you know, quirks and weapon types. And I think that kind of keeps that element of it quite fresh, because there's always something new for you to kind of deal with as you're going along. And different leveling enemies, and you get different gear. So we can show that off. You know, you got your different inventory management, you get your weapons, different rarity types. Where did you come from? I don't remember those guys being there a second ago. But yeah, you gotta work together as a squad, and it's just really neat to actually still be going back and playing this game. This was like one of the big showcases at the initial like E3 for Xbox back in the day. And, you know, they were kind of showing off the idea of, like, doing a drone that someone could fly in. You know, like, your teammate friend at work could, like, do, like, drone control while they're working or something off their tablet. That never happened, obviously. But, you know, the concept of it was really interesting. And they were playing around with some really cool stuff with this one. And it looked like a true next-gen game at the time. And now it definitely looks like a really great game. It's definitely, like, just visually right comparable with its sequel, and that's amazing considering the fact that, you know, the team really didn't have to do anything with this one. I'm glad they upped the second one, and I'm also quite glad that we've gotten, you know, the first one running like this, so that you can enjoy both experiences back to back, and it protects the legacy of, well, these titles and what they offer gameplay wise, which I think is a really unique shooter RPG experience. You know, it's like a tactical shooter, being Tom Clancy's The Division, and I actually believe that this was the last game that he actually came and did consultation on, that being, you know, Tom Clancy, so that's kind of cool. And, you know, the beautiful snow falling, the fluidity level, it all feels really, really great. I'm, you know, just so pleasantly surprised by what they offered here. I mean, I definitely did not see it coming. I hoped for it, but I was always under the impression that we might have to sacrifice something, but nope. You get that 4K, and I guess like literally dynamic resolution scaling is one of the best things I think companies could have added last gen, just for Xbox One X enhancements, because, you know, the way they've carried through for us has been just phenomenal, more so than I guess any other platform getting this sort of boost. In that area is just absolutely important for keeping things going. I'm actually shocked that I died there. I thought I'd really be able to handle that better. The meat locker or the terminal? Probably the meat locker, I think, might be a good spot. And, you know, loading-wise, a little bit faster, but also keep in mind that the game, loading-wise, is also reliant on the servers, because this is a multiplayer experience, right? This is meant to be played with others, experienced with others when you're playing. That's the goal of it. You're in, like, even a passive world, basically. It's not just like, hey, you go and play solo. You're in, like, a passively multiplayer experience just the entire time through. But there's so much beauty and detail in this environment, and I hope that, you know, long-term that this game is able to keep going. Like, I know with these online games, there's always a sense where, like, eventually this will probably vanish, and I'm thinking that even more so now these days, but, you know, I kind of hope that this one sort of stays steady, because I think it is a really neatly set up universe, and the dynamics of combat are really exciting too. So this was also one of my like favorite parts of the original trailer, and I'm so happy that it actually kept in, is the dynamic sort of bullet shooting. Like you can literally pick apart the different pieces of glass off of cars. I know it's like such a small detail, but it's just so fascinating. Like you shoot through there, and you see it on the other side too, and that's just really felt like a next-gen thing at the time to me, was the fact that you could like bullet hole cars, and it's like every individual bullet hole is an actual hole, right? Like it's not just forgotten about. There's an actual hole there. You can write messages and stuff and break all the glass, and that was just, to me, really, really cool, and it felt like such a neat sort of element of the game that made it stand out to me. It's just little smaller touches, you know, that amount of detail in the environment, the different things you could do, and it's a cover-based shooter, again, cooperative focused, and I think it just offers a lot of unique combative situations for you to work through, whether you are, you know, exploring the city, working through the different landmark places in order to survive, and you know, the threats and stuff that are coming at you, figuring out what exactly caused the problems here. It's really, really exciting, and I think it's so unique. And watch out for the spongy enemies, but these guys seem pretty regular street level, I gotta say. Oh, these are some of the fire guys. This is what I was talking about. There's a variation within some of the enemies you face off against, and they bring all kinds of different, you know, like threats up to the bat that you have to deal with, which I think is really, really cool. And it keeps it fresh. Like you play a lot of this game. Like we worked through this because I didn't check it out initially. Like I did a lot of the demo and some testing stuff, but you know, I didn't really fully get to experience this until a long time after, I think, when it came on Game Pass, because I had a bunch of friends who were all going to jump into this one, and we just eventually didn't end up doing that. And then I played with one buddy, and we just kind of like worked through the entirety of this experience, and it was quite a lot of fun. A little trialing because of the level scaling, but you know, it was still pretty cool and eventful to see this one in action, and to actually get the story stuff out of the way so I could have a full understanding of the plot and all that, which was nice. It's just really quite cool, and I think such a fun game. Like if you've never played it before, this is such a such a great time to experience what it has to offer. There's just never been a better highlight point for the resolution and the frame rate quality of this on the console, which is really, really cool. I think that helps this stand out a lot more, preserves the title very effectively, and as you can tell, it's been, you know, just running really smoothly and feeling good, whether that's in combat, traversal, I guess cinematic elements too. It all is a much cleaner experience. And yeah, it's just kind of like doom and gloom walking down the streets here, I gotta say. Like this place has definitely had better days, that's for sure. I don't know if I want to return the supplies. Oh, these guys are bad guys. It's hard to tell who are the good folks and the bad folks in this town, but as a divisional agent, it's kind of up to you to kind of deal with that, I guess. Okay, I did not mean to put it there. I wanted to put it up above. So that's a bit of a waste of my turret.
Warning. Hostile forces approaching.
Always hostile forces. So literally our job is to deal with them. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's definitely unique. It's certainly worth checking out. And I think you'll have a really good time if you jump into the Division and give it a whirl with this FPS boost. It will definitely surprise you in many ways, because it feels so smooth now. so smooth, which is just absolutely awesome. And good luck surviving out there on the streets of New York, that's for sure.